They break, they steal, no one here is free. Here they come for thee. Unless you listen to Dave and Stacy.
Hey guys, this is Dave from the Corn Productions Deep Dive TV podcast, and what you are about to listen to is a joint venture between the Deep Dive TV podcast, my co-host Stacy, and the What Is From cast, Alex and Lizzie. We talk about our hopes and dreams for From Season 3, and all things From related. If you like this video and want to support the channel, please of course subscribe to our channel, but also subscribe to the What Is From cast and let them know that Corman Productions is the one that sent you. Anyway, enjoy the show.
Welcome to the show. My name is Alex.
And I'm Lizzie.
And we have two people that we're partnering up today with, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Stacy.
Hi, I'm Dave from the Corn Productions Deep Dive TV podcast.
And that's right, we are partnering up for Season 3 preview of From, and we figured we've been talking to Stacy and Dave for a while, so we figured, what the hell, let's get together and talk a little From. So first, Stacy, why don't you tell, and Dave, why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about your podcast and what you guys cover, because you don't just cover From like we do. So who wants to go first?
I'll let Stacy start.
Okay, so as Dave said, we are Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast. We talk about a bunch of different TV shows. We will be focusing on From for the fall, obviously, because of the new episodes. We're also covering Sullivan's Crossing, which we started doing because Reed Price, Tom the bartender, is on that show. So we started doing that one. And we also cover Quantum Leap, the original series from 1989, as well as the revival that aired 2 seasons on NBC. That's unfortunately been canceled, but we did that. Let's see, what else have we done? The Sinner, which also had some From peeps on it. So we covered season 4 of that show. And this fall, we're also doing a bunch of movies. We're doing horror movies for October and Thanksgiving movies for November, and Christmas and winter holiday movies for December. So we've got lots and lots and lots of stuff going on.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if I could do that. I would just, I don't know. I need to focus on one thing. So I admire that in your podcast.
Yeah, I mean, we have a variety of interests. I never really wanted to be pigeonholed into any one thing, because when that thing ends, then you're done, and I kind of just want to keep going. So I have a variety of interests, and I enjoy talking with Stacy about all of them. We've been friends for 30 plus years, and when it came to like something like Quantum Leap, which we cover, we were talking in shorthand, and we were finishing each other's sentences without even really. She could say a few words and I would know what she was talking about. And she's the one that introduced me to From. And I came aboard to talk with her about that, and I've had a blast doing it.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Just like us, Alex, I introduced you to From.
Absolutely. As the listeners know, well, our listeners know, I've been listening to Lizzie speak our podcast for years on a couple of different things. And then we finally, I met her in person in Atlanta at a convention, and I told her, if you want to podcast on something, and she's like, I know this show, check it out and tell me what you think. And then all of a sudden, because I'm not into super scary stuff. Like we're part of the Podcasting Network, which is a lot of Walking Dead, all those type of shows. And then stuff that's even grosser than that. And, I can deal with the psychological stuff, but I think this season might be testing me in a big way. But for those of you that are Corman people, we are exclusive to From. We're part of the Podcastica network that covers Walking Dead,
All the Star Wars stuff.
Star Wars. We do, Ahsoka. We've done
Stranger Things.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole host of different podcasts. Plus, we have friends of us that have branched off and done their own podcasts, like Run for Your Lives, which does horror, Adrenaline Cinema, that's doing Snowpiercer. I mean, it's a lot of good friends getting together, talking about shows that they love. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about season 3 of From. And, Stacey and Dave, what was your first take on, the trailers? We had a small trailer and then we had a longer trailer. And what did you guys think about that?
Well, it looked intriguing. One of the first things that I noticed, and it seems like from actually watching the episode, it was a little bit of a mislead, that the monsters were acting differently. They were acting more human, it seemed. And the lighting was it was bright. So it seemed like it was happening maybe during the day. So I was like, what's going on here? But, the actual episode, the monsters are acting like the monsters. They're not acting human, and it's darker. So that was definitely a misdirect in that case. But it was very, very intriguing, and I was looking forward to watching the show.
On the
we
trailers,
watched it
we got the teaser, right? And it was just so exciting. We had, 45 or 50 seconds of new material for the first time in a year and a half. And the whole internet's just going crazy, dissecting it frame by frame. And I think that's it wasn't even the content. It was just it's here. There's something new to look at. It was just so exciting that it's like we're finally here. We're getting some content, and we're ready to get back into the show.
You're absolutely right. And I think that the trailers kind of, I don't know, they kind of got us by surprise, if that makes sense.
I was surprised at how dark it was looking on both of those trailers and hopeless. That's what was scaring me.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, they're in a new place. They're definitely in a new place. In terms of, we've got winter, we've got all this stuff, but regardless of that, they come out with that first trailer. Boyd is crying. The monsters aren't eating them. I think that's the first thing that I noticed, was that they weren't really eating them. They were just trying to torture them, which is a whole set of problems. And they're getting out of resources. It's some dark stuff. So what are some of the things that you're looking forward to seeing this season, guys? And that's for everyone. I mean, even whoever.
Well, last season, I didn't like Randall as a character very much, and I don't think I'm in the minority there. Though there is some support within the Facebook groups for not liking his character. But I was intrigued to see where his character goes this season after his experiences from last season. Would he change as a character? I didn't expect him to suddenly become a super nice guy or anything like that. I definitely was intrigued to see how what happened to him last season would affect him this season.
At least in the first episode, that kind of surprised me, that little action he made. So, and I'm trying not to give anything away, but that did surprise me.
He does redeem himself a little bit from some of his behavior in the previous season.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it looks like you might see some character growth on him coming. Yeah, somewhere big and probably dark.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about her.
She's a newlywed, and she's gonna have a baby. There's so many places to go with her on that.
And there's no food.
Exactly.
Let's talk about Fatima some more, because there was rumors that her face / ghost, whatever you want to call it, was part of Elgin's world. And when we interviewed the actor, I'm like, you are not allowed to go near water in From, ever. because anytime you go near water, it's just bad. Do you guys think that Elgin's the product of Ellis and Fatima?
It's quite possible that the
I hope
vision that we
not.
are seeing is perhaps related to Fatima's pregnancy. There's a lot of speculation going around that the ghost was Fatima herself. I don't necessarily buy that, but I could see this being the child of Fatima and Ellis, perhaps. Perhaps this is like some kind of future version of that character that we have yet to meet. I think that's possible.
I keep thinking about that, and it's like a brain version of being tongue-tied, because if he is their child and he's gone back in time, then how is it he's on a bus with Christie's current day girlfriend?
Right.
Like, how is that?
Yeah, I don't think that Elgin is Fatima and Ellis's child. I don't buy that theory at all. And I think the actor doesn't buy that either. But I think the vision of that woman in the kimono, if that's how you say it, could possibly be related to Fatima and Ellis's child. Perhaps.
Right.
It'd be wild, but it's possible.
I've been doing a rewatch. Alex and I have been rewatching season 1, which you may or may not know. And I've been keeping track of where we are time-wise. So I've just started season 2. And, I'm just reminded at how deep and layered this thing is. And it makes me feel like I don't have the capacity to actually put all of this together, because Alex gets on me about this, but it just seems like with every character, almost every object, there is some hidden double meaning. So that when you're looking at any scene, you need to be like, all right, what is the purpose of that? What does that color mean? Does that cabinet come in somewhere else? Wasn't he wearing that jacket when this and then he's wearing it I don't know how they would even keep all of that straight.
Yeah, I don't have to understand
Right.
anything. That's what I have Stacy for. Stacy basically explains everything to me.
All right, then I'll just talk to you, Stacy. So all I'm thinking is that there's one person for every thread, and they keep track of everything. And it's just driving, like,
I mean, I'm
going
sure
around in
some of
circles
those
trying to figure it out.
details, I'm sure some of them are very intentional and very important. The thing is, not all of them are. And until the series is over and then we know what to look for, we're not going to be able to keep track of what's actually something and what's nothing. But I'm positive once it's over, we'll be able to go back. Once we know like the punchline of this series, we'll be able to go back and see things differently and pick up on all those clues that we may or may not have seen or looked at differently, and know what is important and what isn't. And that's something that's kind of exciting to think about, is like looking at the story once it is over and having an appreciation of the journey that we don't know we're on right now.
Right. I mean, do we do another podcast for it?
Yeah, you should. Because honestly, I couldn't deal with that. I mean, the fact that Stacy has a red shirt on and Dave has, his pattern shirt, that means something.
Yeah, it does.
We have no friggin' clue what it means.
Stop
but it means
wearing Hawaiian shirts.
In Lizzie's world.
It means this is what I grabbed out of my laundry to wear for this podcast. No thought whatsoever.
And folks that are listening, you're listening to What Is From / Corman Productions Fiasco. I mean, joint podcast, and we're trying to cover Lizzie / Stacy's wacky ass theories. I think that's what the name of the episode should be. But speaking of theories, before we get into all of them, what do you guys think of the one theory that Donna's a mole? Are you guys buying that?
I don't buy it at all. I don't think there is a mole, and I definitely don't think it's Donna. We've seen too many instances where we've seen Donna alone reacting to things and not reacting well for me to buy that she's a mole in any kind of way. But like I said, I don't buy that there's any mole whatsoever.
I don't know. I kind of think she's like a hostage mole. Like she's not on the monster side, but she's a mole in such a way that she's trapped and being forced to do that, but we still see her honest reactions about all the situations.
Yeah, I mean, I think that she is the product of lack of sleep, lack of food, and
lots of alcohol.
Well, I think that the problem is they push everybody to their brink and people react differently. I mean, everybody would say, oh, if I was there, I'd do X, Y, and Z. Oh, crap. You don't know what you
wall.
Those people are thinking from a logical place. They're not in the situation. So they're not really thinking about how they would react in this unique, really strange situation.
Well, now I'm going to ask this to Stacy since she's the keeper of secrets for you. Why the hell don't they talk? Like,
dude, I sent you a video about that last night.
No, but my point being is this. I'm asking Stacy, like, okay, episode 1 of season 2.
Okay.
What happens? Ellis is talking to Boyd. He tells him, whatever. He tells him everything that's going on. And his first reaction is, you're nuts. When they've got monsters at night, they can't leave. Like, if everybody just talked, they'd get a lot more accomplished. What do you think about them just not talking?
Well, one thing I think is that they do talk more than they show us. And I think we do get some evidence of that in season 3. Was it? I've watched 2 episodes, so I don't remember if that was in episode 1 or 2. But there's a scene where I'm like, oh, this kind of shows you they're talking to each other because there's characters referencing things that we didn't know that they knew. So I do think that they are talking to each other, but they're not wasting their screen time on showing us all of their conversations. So I think we don't know who knows what at this point. But it's like season 2 was what, 2 or 3 days. So there hasn't been a lot of time. Like so much has happened in a couple of days that they're just kind of catching things in passing, So yeah, they obviously need to have some group, city hall meetings, but I think they know more than we think they know.
Well, there's a scene where Fatima and Elgin are looking at the Brundles, and Fatima says, we've all sat around talking about this. And so they have done it, and they've done it most likely in Colony House, over drinking and smoking, that sort of thing. But we just, like you said, we don't see it.
I think they're different talks than I'm thinking. Like, I think they're talking about, okay, how do we, what are we going to do at the monsters, or what are you going to do at this? I don't think they're having the bigger picture of, guys, I just saw whatever, and you were by yourself. I don't know. I mean, you could be right, and I could definitely be wrong, but who knows?
Alex, I think
Cameron's like Big Brother.
I think in the case of what you're talking about, Alex, I think maybe they're not having those conversations because there's a lack of trust. They don't trust that the other person is going to hear them and not call them crazy. Something along those lines. And I think it's hard to look at the bigger picture when you're under constant stress and duress, as these people are.
Absolutely. You are so right, Dave. You're so right.
Thank you.
So, going along with theories, what is your favorite, or what theory do you believe in terms of what theories are you liking?
Well, I'm not the biggest fan of this, but it's the one that makes the most sense now, is the simulation theory. That this is all some kind of simulation. I don't really love it because sci-fi and horror shows have gone that direction in the past. So I'm kind of hoping that From does something more original than that. But that's kind of where I'm leaning at the moment.
Well, I'm
Not?
hoping that we get something time travel in there.
Oh, Stacy, I love it. Yes, I love it.
We
I
can.
don't know what though. The bracelet, okay?
Okay.
I'm waiting to come back to the bracelet. And I don't know how or why, but I'm convinced that it's something tiny because of the bracelet. And
That is
I don't know.
the whole thing is tiny. Like the
There's
whole
some
reason
there's
is
some
tiny
time
because
element
the
in here
bracelet is
somewhere. There's
oh,
some
it's
time element
Oh, I
somewhere.
thought you said
Time.
TINY. Yeah, I love time travel. That whole thing
Me
I
too.
just love. It would be cool if they actually end up in a different time period when they go through this and they're actually experiencing the monsters just the same. But maybe they, I don't know. I want to say maybe they are, but then you have Victor that kind of throws that whole thought out the window. But I just, my one constant is Ethan with the quest thing.
That's where I'm at. I really think it's the Chromonocle. I think it's a combination of the Chromonocle and something else. But I do believe that that story is what's going to get them out. Because
Stacy's having thoughts about that.
I mean, I just think that it's going to be something from that book that's going to end up being crucial. I don't know what it is, but you know, you wouldn't have Victor, who is basically an adult child, and Ethan and the boy in white. Those are three kid minds, and I don't know. But what's your take on the boy in white? Do you think he's good or bad?
That's a good question. I'm not really sure who he is working for. My theory has been that there's like multiple forces at play here. That there's definitely a force that's against them and a force that's for them. I think the boy in white is on their side, but I'm not totally sure.
I'm hesitant to trust the color white.
Right.
Yeah, because it's after Labor Day.
Well, it is after Labor Day. We all know this. But I it's just because it's what we always go with, that white is the good guy, black is the bad guy. And I kind of am thinking that he is either like a guidepost or he's a ruse, one or the other. But I was just, while we were talking about what we think the whole thing is, with the quest, what if Jade designed a video game or a game of some sort based on the Chromonocle?
Yeah, there's been that theory that Jade is behind this
Yeah,
without
that's,
actually knowing it, floating in
Could
the
be.
fandom.
Definitely
that he
could be
somehow
some
designed some type
game
of video
theory in
game.
here.
Yeah.
All I hope is that they have an ending that's like we're all real and this really happened, and it's not like Seen Elsewhere or Lost.
Oh, that
where
would be terrible.
I know.
That Seen Elsewhere
And
ending.
for those that are young, Google Seen Elsewhere. It was a TV show in the 80s, and they had the worst ending of a great show. It was all in the mind of a kid that was mentally challenged. And It was like, really? None of this was real.
I've seen a post like that saying that it was going to end up being like a snow globe on Victor's desk on Facebook at one point. And I'm like, and my response was, okay, that's the point where I start throwing things at the TV because that would be a terrible ending.
Yeah.
To that point, I mean, Harold has said in interviews, and I think they're trying to make up for lost. That's what it sounds like. From everything that's come out, it sounds like they're trying to make up for the mistakes in Lost. I mean, who knows? It's so crazy. But, we'll see. What are some other, who are you most concerned for this season? Because at the end of the day, somebody's got to die. I mean, they can't all survive. And they've been promoting this from day one. You can't save them all, And then we have that scary scene where Boyd is like,
"You're so strong.
You're so strong. You're so strong." And of course, Lizzie had to ask him, "Who's so strong?" And he's like, "Someone that's so strong." So,
but that's the way he always answers things.
No, but you know what? She also was a jerk and asked him, "Who threw the rope down?"
Everybody asked that question.
They still ask that question. They still ask that question in the groups. It drives me crazy. I brought it up in our first episode podcast of season 2, and I regret that. I mean, it's not like I started or anything like that, but I regret ever raising that question because, like, it's a question that keeps coming up over and over and over again a year later.
Yeah. Who do you think threw the rope?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, probably Martin somehow managed to kick it in there somehow.
It was one of the Akui kids with the Tranquilla, the little doll.
The dummy.
Yeah. with the knife with Colonel Mustard in the library. I
think it just happened. That's what I think.
I think I've long since to care about that particular question.
Well, if a man can get stuck in a well like that, a rope can just fly down.
Yeah, that's what I think.
See, I think a lot of the problem is that people are expecting real world logic to apply here, and I don't think it does. I think this is a more like dream logic. We're just, the same rules, real world rules do not apply here.
Exactly.
Sure.
You are exactly right.
Going back to my original statement, then when it doesn't happen, they look at each other like, how is that possible?
Right.
Which makes no sense.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that they're going to get out? Obviously not this season, but do you think they're going to eventually get out?
I think someone will get out. How many of them? Yeah. It might not be a lot of them. I think most of them are probably going to end up dying. But I think somebody does escape from the situation.
Well, that said, do you guys think Tabitha is out?
Yeah, I believe she actually is in the real world, although there were some hints that we were looking at that perhaps suggested that she was just in another level of the simulation. But I think it'd be more interesting if she's actually in the real world.
I think so too.
As of the end of season 2, I was very confident that she's in level 2 of Fromville. I know what they want us to believe of where we are sitting at the beginning of season 3, and I don't trust what they're telling us. I think that there's more to it than what we're being led to believe at the beginning of season 3.
Right. I think you're right. I mean, there's too many signs. People have said like the hospital logo looks like the Akui kids where Jade was. It's got 7. And again, I there's this one lady online. She is like the theorist of theorists. She has her own Facebook group of theories and whatever else. And I mean, she makes some wacky stuff and she also makes some pretty amazing stuff. But I hope that these numbers actually means something. I know. I forget which episode it was in the first episode or the first season. They had a whole bunch of numbers, dates on the stairs. And why would it be a coincidence that what's her name, Tilly or whatever, has 7 grandkids and there's 7 Akui kids? There's too many coincidences, and maybe they're red herrings. I don't know, but it would be kind of neat that they did have some kind of form.
I definitely think they want us to suspect Tilly of something. A lot of her behavior in season 2 was weird, and she always tended to know things that she shouldn't necessarily know.
Because she's an old lady.
Yeah, and she could just be a busybody, but at the same time, it was definitely. I think they were trying to cast suspicion upon her, and I think a lot of people believe that she is sus.
What do you think, Stace?
About Tilly?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything there. I think that she's just a old woman who is sick and is trying to live her last days, and I think that they're just misdirecting us.
In season 2, we had the bus and we had a lot of dynamics. I mean, we had girlfriends or engaged couples getting together to, all sorts of different things. We've got, Donna had another challenge with our favorite guy. And, they're bringing on some new characters this season. And I'm really excited because in the trailer, it looks like it's going to be a police officer or whatever, and she's going to start shooting at these guys, and it's not going to work. It's going to be really interesting, I think, to see the new people try to translate this to the newest people. And it's only been, like you said, Stacey, a couple of days. And you're like, you're not going to believe this. I was where you were like 2 days ago or like 20 hours ago. And it's going to be fun.
It is interesting. The Matthews were kind of our entry point into the series, getting to know this town through them and through their eyes, and then having them be the ones to explain it to the next generation of people that end up in there. That is an interesting dynamic, being the veterans, so to speak, now.
The new people, the bus people, arrive on day 8 of this whole thing. So the Matthews have been there for, up to 8 days. And then we have these bus people coming in, changing things around. And then it looks like we're going to have these 2 new characters coming in. And the bus people, like Alex said, are only going to have been there for a couple of days and have already been through so much with being caught outside on day 1 and the cicada thing, and just like all around, like none of this makes sense.
It's cicadas. It's not Boston.
Cicada, whatever.
Okay, Duncan.
Whatever. Oh, I guess he left. He got mad and left.
We lost our host.
Yeah, I don't know where he went. I think I cast a spell on him.
No, I had to go take care of something. That's all.
But I just based on the trailers, I'm really concerned about Mrs. Liu because she is a favorite. I mean, everyone's a favorite, but it's Mrs. Liu. I think I totally fell in love, when she started yelling at Jade about the electricity, and she's turning the light on and off, and he's just like,
love that moment.
Mind blown.
Yeah, Jade and Mrs. Liu have a great bond. It's a lot of fun to watch, and it's fun to watch because they barely speak the same language, and yet they have this amazing bond.
Yeah, and at the end of season 2, I think it was season 2 or 1, I can't recall, when he walks in on her and she's, mourning her husband, and he's just like, I get it. Like, he soothed her. He came out of his emotional shell enough to soothe her,
Mm-hmm.
which I just loved.
Well, he's a person, as you know from that episode, he's a person that respects his elders because that's who raised him.
Yeah.
And it just goes to show how we are so complex. And I think that's what this show really does. And it's so much like The Walking Dead. It's scary. When we cut, when Jason covers The Walking Dead, it's like, who do you want to die? And everybody's like, no, I want this. No, I don't want that. I don't want anybody to die. Well,
Yeah.
Somebody's got to die. And somebody's got to, and they do kill people off. I mean, they've
Yeah.
killed off, Phoebe Rex. I forget her character's name. Kelly. And they
Kelly.
killed off, obviously they killed off Reed, and they killed off Bob, Frank the Tank, and his whole family, took the bullet. But now that we're so invested, there's nobody that you wants to die. Maybe Donna's husband, but
No, that's not. You mean Cliff?
yeah,
Dale?
Dale.
I mean, Cliff
is the action.
But Dale needs to
Yeah.
friggin' go. I mean, he doesn't need to go because he's the best comic relief. But
Yes.
if he did, I don't think anybody'd be mourning him.
I like watching him and Donna fight
Oh, it's great.
because he's crazy, and he refuses to back down.
Well,
And
he gets no respect. He's like Rodney Dangerfield.
there's a reason why he doesn't get any respect.
'Cause he's-
There was a poll at the end of the season.
I've got my eyes on
somewhere.
Clara.
Who is the bigger? Yeah,
Really?
Did everybody just freeze?
I think
Izzy's
Stacy
in shock.
I'm
Yeah, Stacy's
getting
like, I've got my
constant
eyes on
freezing, so
Clara.
I'm only hearing like every third word anybody says.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, I think Clara is probably a good bet. And I was yesterday, or I think it was, when I was doing the rewatch, and she gets all the glass in her eye in the opening season 2 episode. And but she's never been put at risk at all. She's always safe. So we've never seen her. So it would be interesting. Aside from the one that may be the most obvious, who do you think doesn't make it out of this season?
My money's on Fatima. I don't think that pregnancy is going to go well.
I think a lot of people have been talking about that.
Do you think it's going to be like some kind of I can't think of, like, some kind of accelerated weird pregnancy?
Probably.
Like she's possessed?
And I'm not totally sure what she's going to give birth to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If we're only advancing a few days each season,
I wonder.
either going to have a time jump or an accelerated pregnancy. Otherwise, she's just going to be pregnant forever, and it's not going to mean anything.
Yeah.
Well,
Kind
I mean,
of like
the kids,
Maggie.
that's a great question because the kids are getting older and they are
Yeah.
showing it this season. I mean, the boy in white looks a lot older. Ethan, I mean, Simon is getting to be a big boy, He's
It's
not
funny.
this little
It's funny because I didn't think that Ethan looked that much older, but then I saw pictures of him from season 1, and I'm like, okay, yeah, he's
Yeah.
grown. I mean, that's a problem when you're working with child actors. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of things. But
but it
Yeah.
isn't because they can explain it.
They could.
I'm
In
just saying
this
that's something
in
they can
this
explain.
show they can explain it in this show because I mean everyone, or it seems like some people who get injured heal rather quickly. There's just no way Ethan should have been up and about with a leg injury like that. But perhaps like he's got accelerated growth into an adult, but that wouldn't explain the boy in white because he's of this world. Would he really be growing up that
Yes,
fast?
because something has changed. They're having winter. I mean, you can
Yeah.
explain anything away.
But when I was watching
That's
the
just a
first,
freaky character. That boy
It
in
is.
white is just the freakiest character. He like scares the crap out of me. I'm sorry.
yeah, he's different. When I was watching the first episode and we see him from behind, he's a little boy again. And I'm like, they used a photo double based on his previous size. Thank you. Sorry.
I was a little worried for Lizzie there for a second. I thought maybe she was being attacked by cicadas or something.
I know.
Cicadas.
Cicadas.
So anyway, we're just getting rid of her because she doesn't know how to speak English. She only speaks Boston. That said, we're listening to the What Is From / Corman production
/ Lizzie
Podcast.
gets a package.
package, craziness, as we like to say. And, you know, we're just trying to get our ideas together and thoughts. I know I think Stacy has one. I know Lizzie has their book of knowledge and maps and all sorts of good stuff, you know, at the ready for us to try to not to refute, right, Dave?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Do you guys, do either of you keep a notebook? Like, this is my notebook. And I've got all sorts of stuff. I've got my board.
show the board.
Yeah, I love this board. I just updated it like last night. I finally put the bus people arriving.
Oh, thank God.
I know.
That's a whole other level, Lizzie.
Yeah.
I was not sleeping for the last like 2 years because she didn't have the bus people on.
Yeah. Well, I finally realized it's because I hadn't watched season 2 yet, so I couldn't put it up there.
Oh, yeah, I know.
So, yeah. So, yeah, this is the board.
Oh, wait, Stacy's holding her hand on her head. That means something.
I'm boring her. That's what it means.
No, but I just think that, you know, I think like they've said, it's going to be a rough season. I think we're going to have multiple people dying. I think we're going to have, it's going to be interesting to say, and I've been saying this in the podcast all along, is we've got to find out what the other entity is. Because we've got the survivors, we got the monsters, and then we got this other group, whoever's controlling the whole world. And it's going to be interesting to see if they reveal themselves this season, because that's what the monster said, or that's what the
Producers.
Whatchamacallit said, the guy that was on the chains. I know, I'm a really good host. Martin. Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know why
I'm like, you just called the producers monsters.
Oh no, well, yeah, no. But Martin had said there's like another entity, and
Yes.
it's interesting to see what that entity is. I mean, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah. Can I
But-
ask this question? Because you know
No.
when Jim's on the radio and that voice comes over the radio and we're all like, who is the voice? And since recent visions, or I don't know what to call it, recent scenes, do you think it could be the cowboy guy?
Maybe.
sure.
Could be.
Or the mechanic guy, or the milkman.
I mean,
I don't think it has any. I don't think it's as big as we think it is. You know what I mean? Like,
I can't help it. Like, I keep thinking about the Truman Show and Christoph. You
right.
know, like I keep thinking about there's a voice in the sky type thing.
Do you think this
You
is
know,
just one kind of big reality show?
God, could you imagine something like that? Like the ultimate Big Brother?
I've seen the Truman Show, and I love that movie, by the way.
Yeah,
That's
that
great.
show is very provocative. That's for sure. I mean,
Ahead
there's
of its
just so
time.
many things. What's that?
Ahead of its time.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, and there was another movie similar in
Ed TV, I think you're
similar.
thinking of?
Yeah, Ed. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we were just with him all day long, and the guy couldn't catch a moment alone. You know, like he did not have a private life, but he signed on for it. You know, whereas Truman never even knew until that, one day he realized this isn't real.
So you think that's perhaps what's going on in Frumville? That this is just one kind of giant reality show that's being watched?
It's a possibility, I think.
But how do you have monsters that do what they do?
I think maybe it's a government facility, and they've taken the monsters that were developed during the movie The Mist, in Stephen King's world. Maybe that's why Stephen King keeps pushing this show. He's got a vested interest in it because all of his monsters are in the show.
I think you really have too much time in your hands.
Maybe I do. Maybe I have no time. You know what? I know this isn't professional podcasting when your dog is barking in the background at the cat and the Amazon person shows up. I just don't have any air right now. Like the AC isn't working and I have to have the doors open. And my child is not behaving.
Okay. So, last point before we wrap up, because it's almost at that time. What do you guys think of, or since we had this delay, do you think winter is going to play a huge factor or not so huge factor? It's just going to be like, okay, in the show.
I think personally that when the winter and the season changing, that's going to play a big factor in this season. I think it's going to be relevant in some way.
Okay. What about you?
We know
Stacey?
that they had to write winter in, right? They weren't originally going to film in the winter, and then they ended up having to film in the winter. So, however they're incorporating winter, it wasn't their original intent. So I don't think it's going to be a huge part of the story. But I do think they're intentionally making it part of the story.
I just wish we could find out how it changed the story so much. Like, they're in the writers' room, they're doing everything. They have this delay. They know they're going to come back in the cold weather, and away we go. But we're going to have to see what happens.
I'm sure the writers could tell us that after the fact, after the season's played out. Yeah, but for now, they're not going to tell us what their original plans were. But I think eventually they could tell us, and that'd be a very interesting thing to hear about.
Absolutely.
I would love, like, if they got together at the very end and had a talk about how this was all put together, what it all meant, how everything was related. I would love to be not a fly in that room, but a butt in the seat listening to that. And I'm sure I would forget most of it, but I would still want to hear it.
That would be kind of neat. So what are you guys, and we'll go around the table and we'll start with you, Stacey. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to the fact that they told us we are going to start getting some answers. And it'd be great to have some things just start coming together and making sense a little bit. I'm looking forward to the story progressing, and I know we're going to get new questions along with the answers, but I'm just looking forward to new stuff coming, because I know there's some like big new things that are coming our way. And I'm just along for the ride at this point. Like I kind of stopped trying to theorize, and I want them to tell the story, you know? And I hope that we don't lose a lot of people, but I know we're going to. And that makes me sad. I hope we lose the new people, not the new people, but I hope we lose the smaller people that we're not as attached to, but I know we're going to lose some important people that we love. So that kind of sucks.
So Dave, what are you excited about?
Well, I'm excited to be talking about From season 3, talk about the show in general again. I think this could potentially be one of the greatest all-time sci-fi shows. It depends on how they stick the landing. And this is season 3 of what they are saying is going to be a 5-season show. So at this point, they really do have to start letting us in on what the story actually is. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get all the answers because then the show is over. But I think we should have more of an idea after the season, and I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Okay, Lizzie, what are you most excited for?
I'm excited that it's back, period, and that we're getting new material, and like Stacy said, possibly some answers, but always more questions, and that there are new characters that have landed there. So it's not like the people in the town are not becoming stale, that there's infusion from the outside. Oh, and Tabitha's journey.
Well, I'm really excited about just that it's back. I've always been kind of like Stacy, just on for the ride, not really having any preconceptions of the season, just kind of let's see where we go. And even when you think it's going to be one thing, it's usually something else. So what's the point of trying to, theorize? And I know that's what From is a lot about, but I just, I know Lizzie talks about this all the time. I like the puzzle and I like the whole, how's it all going to fit together? I just wish it would be a little bit quicker, but that's just because I want to know what's going to happen because it's a good show.
Don't wish it over.
No, I think they're going to solve a lot of questions, but then they're going to ask more. So, I mean, we're going to get answers, but then we're going to get some more questions. So, either way, we're going to be disappointed and pleased. And, the next 10 weeks are going to be a lot of fun. But I just want to thank you guys from the Corman Productions. And, where can they find you? Who wants to go? Since Stacy said all about it, I'll have Dave tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find us on YouTube. Corman Productions should find us. It's the Corman Productions Deep Dive TV podcast. There's a playlist for From specifically in there, but you can find other content as well. If you're into Quantum Leap, you can find stuff on that. We're going to be talking about Sullivan's Crossing, as Stacey already mentioned at the top. And we're planning on talking about a From-like show called Teacup that's going to be on NBC. I think it's actually Peacock that it's supposed to be on.
It's Peacock?
Yeah, Peacock. Peacock is the streaming platform for NBC. So, yeah, we got lots of good things coming up. And, yeah, it's been fun being on this podcast with you guys. I thank you for having us here. You guys are the big guys, and we're the little guys. But
I actually worked on Teacup. I worked on that show.
Did you?
Yeah, I've been carrying around. One of the wrap gifts was a Yeti, and it's got the upside down teacup on it. I'm with it all the time now.
What do you do on the show?
I am an academic teacher.
Oh, okay.
There's 2 kids on the show, and they still have to go to school.
And
That's
she's
awesome.
molding the minds of our future actors. Isn't that amazing?
No, I'm not. No, I'm
That's-
like, this is the clay.
Folks, if you haven't known what we do, we're the What is Fromcast. We exclusively podcast on From. You can see it. You can go on Facebook on Podcastica, but we're on Instagram, which is W Fromcast, or on TikTok. I think it's the same. And we're also on YouTube, where we're trying to get to 550 subscribers by the time this airs on Sunday. Not this episode, but the actual episode. So hopefully you guys can help us that. And if you want some merch, you can go to our Etsy site. That all being said, you guys, I think it's going to be a great season. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this joint podcast, because it really was a lot of fun. And maybe we can do a wrap up at the end of the season if there's any characters left, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good.
Left.
I mean, because at the bottom line is, who the hell knows if anybody's going to be left?